They have so many great shows. And while they do have shows that talk about relationships, they don't have a show like mine. So the Scarlet Edit is meant for Dear Media. Oh my gosh, things are getting real around here. I don't even know. I'm like, where am I looking? What am I doing? What's going on in the background? Hi, solo episode alert, solo episode alert. So if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, which you should be doing, you will know that I recently moved to Arizona and I am setting up a home podcast studio. I am in the middle of doing it all. And so this is the first solo episode where you will actually see some of the makings of the studio and how I'm getting things rolling in here. The final studio will probably be completed within the next week and a half. Also, I'm going to be setting up cameras differently so you'll be able to see more of me and more of what is behind me. Oh, I guess I can just lean back. See, this is what's so cool about this. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be watching on YouTube, or at least subscribe on YouTube. That would be amazing. It's just YouTube at the Scarlet Edit. But what I have right here is my microphone on a mic arm. So I can use my hands are free. Look, Ma, no hands. And I've got my wallpaper. Again, if you're not following on social media, you should be because you would have heard about the wallpaper saga. And anyways, hi. It's funny. I haven't done a solo episode in a few weeks and it feels kind of weird not have, to not have done one. So I'm excited to be sitting here and just talking. Honestly, on my content calendar, I had penciled in a solo episode for this week. I'd actually planned to release it on Monday. Obviously it is Wednesday when this is coming out, but that's okay. Not too bad. But my plan had been to do a studio reveal. Well, not done yet. So I think that's one of the things with moving, things always end up taking longer than you hope they will. Even when you feel like the process is rather streamlined, yeah, it's just you're unpacking boxes and then you're like, where am I going to put this? Do I need this? Why did I pack this? And for me, I sold my house in California last summer, not this summer, last summer. And the last 15 months I've spent traveling the world. So, I mean, coming back and forth a little bit, but for the most part, I've been living out of suitcases, staying at either my brother's house or one of my parents' places. And while that has been absolutely lovely, I did get to a point where I was ready to settle. I was ready to have my own space again. I was ready to unpack the things that I did keep and just feel a little more at home. Equally as much as all of that, I really wanted to create a home studio for the podcast. I have huge goals for this show, you guys, huge. So I wanted to make a space. So it's really exciting how it's coming together. I can't wait to do an actual reveal episode because I'm just so passionate about what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it that I am so excited to have a space where I can sit and just record shows, record content, and put all of it out into the world. So, anytime you start something new, there's always unexpected consequences. And I don't necessarily know that consequences is the right word because these are unexpected positives that have come from it that you kind of just don't really think about. But then things start happening, right? I mean, in podcasting, I'm having conversations, I'm talking to different people. Other people are sharing with me either their stories, their expertise, or usually it's a lot of both. And I am so grateful that I have had some of the most unbelievable guests on this show. And each of them has taught me something, got me to think differently or think about something in a different way. But one of the things that I never really thought about was how many different memories would be jogged as a result of having some of these conversations. Now it's we're sitting here talking about relationships, right? So of course, throughout these conversations, I'm having memories of my own relationships that I have gone through in the past. And so as I've been traveling, a question that I get asked all the time is, oh my gosh, do you go on dates when you're traveling? Have you met anybody? And the answer is no. I went on one date last summer when I first got to Greece, and super nice guy. But we did have a bit of a language barrier. So it just ended up being like, I mean, honestly, I kind of felt bad for him because I know that I can talk pretty fast. We were drinking wine, which I'm sure only made me talk faster. And our conversation was pretty limited to just, rather surface level topics, given that I don't speak Greek and his English was fairly elementary. So I don't even know if like I would consider that an actual date because it was just more of a conversation over some wine. But no, I mean, I have not been on any dates on any of my travels. In fact, I like rarely even get hit on. And I've thought a lot about this, to be honest, because I am curious, like, is it energy that I'm putting out or not putting out? Do I come across as unapproachable? Um, am I not putting out the energy that I think I'm putting out into the world? I really don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care. And the reason I say that is because I have all of these unbelievable memories that are mine and they're mine to keep. And if there was ever any sort of struggle on any of my journeys, it was because of logistics, most likely. um, but it was always just because of me. And it was my story, my timeline. But for the most part, I just have all these amazing memories that are mine and mine alone. And I really love that. The last 15 months have truly been the best 15 months of my entire life. And I would not change any of it for the world. Now, going back to this solo episode and kind of what I'm kind of feeling like a little series coming on where I I've looked back, especially after my last relationship ended, and I obviously kicked off this podcast telling that story. If this for some reason is your first foray into the Scarlet Edit, I highly recommend checking out episodes 1 through 4 because I do tell a very personal story of my last relationship, which was a 5-year affair with a married man. Um, but I think that as I've taken so much time and reflected back on my relationship history, and I definitely have some, pivotal people, important people that are a part of my story. And so as I've been having these conversations with different guests on the show and different thoughts have popped into my head about these people, I thought it would be just kind of an interesting thing to talk about um, as part of the Scarlet Edit. We all have relationship history, right? We all have that, high school boyfriend or that college love or the first like adult relationship. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I remember when I was a sophomore in college, we went to Cabo for spring break. And we had started hanging out with these guys while we were there. And they were guys from our college. So they weren't, all of them weren't unknown. Some of them were unknown to us, but there was someone in common where when we ran into them when we were out, it was like, oh yeah, let's all go back and hang out. So one of the guys ended up asking me out when we got back to San Diego. And I said yes. And he had already graduated. So I was 20. Yeah, I think I was 20. And I think he was like 22. I mean, not significantly older than me or 23, but he was out of college. So he was an adult. And I was like, I just remember being at dinner with him and being like, this is crazy. Like, this man is an adult. Like, what am I doing out on a date with an adult? Anyway, that was just a little aside as far as different relationships go, right? You have that first adult relationship and then others as your story unfolds. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to like reflect back and kind of tie my conversation to, hey, remember in this episode, or if you didn't listen to this episode, this jogged this memory for me. So there was an episode that I did with a woman named Dr. Zoe Shaw. She is a psychotherapist and she kind of she coined the term complex shame. So we talked about shame, we talked about guilt, we talked about complex shame, and it was a really wonderful discussion. I absolutely loved it. I kind of felt like it was a therapy session just for me, even though I put it out into the world for all of you. But it was such a great conversation. But one of the memories that it brought up for me was I was thinking about the boyfriend that I had at the very end of college and then at the beginning of a post grad. And I told her this story that I remembered one day we were in the car and we were going somewhere. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, I bet he would so much rather be doing something else than hanging out with me. And in retrospect, I'm like, how sad that I had that thought. Like, how sad that I even thought that he wouldn't want to be hanging out with me. But how sad that I even had that thought that, like, I didn't have enough self-worth to think that, like, yeah, no, wait, he's, like, lucky to be hanging out with me. I'm lucky to be hanging out with him. Like, this is fun. We like each other. We're in a relationship. We're young. We're living, like, woo, you know? God, in retrospect, I look back on that relationship and I'm like, we were kids. We were children. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I wonder if this is the guy that I'm gonna marry. Mind you, I was 22 years old. Like, no, he is not the guy that you were going to marry. You didn't even know how to do anything. Like, why on earth were you thinking that maybe you were going to get married? And it just was, it was definitely fun. It was fun until it wasn't. He was just a couple of years older than me, but definitely young. When we broke up, I had been away for work training for a week and we were coming back to town on a Friday night. And I remember calling him and saying, hey, like, I'm on my way back. What are you up to? Thinking like it's Friday night. Like, you haven't seen me in a week. Like, what are we going to do? And he was like, oh, I have plans. I'm going to a party. Oh, so I guess I'm not invited. And at the time, I think I was bummed, but I was just kind of like, okay, like it kind of just showed me that the writing was on the wall and that like we weren't going to be together much longer. And then we did break up shortly thereafter. And I remember telling him like, you didn't even ask me to hang out. And he was like, honestly, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think I should ask you to come with me. And I was like, yeah, yep, get it. So yeah, that was definitely a very fun relationship. He was super funny. Like, I had moved to LA, so I was in a new city. I was excited to be there. I got my first job out of college. So I was working really hard. Um, and so yeah, it's like, of course it didn't work out. But one of the things that I did find interesting is when years later, like I'm talking years, like I'm talking 20 plus years later, we had connected on LinkedIn. And he actually sent me a message one day and, he said, hey, I just want to apologize because I know I didn't treat you as well as you deserve to be treated. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was like, that's very sweet of you to say, but we were kids. And he was like, I know, but I just felt like I needed to say that. I mean, obviously it had been something that he had thought about periodically, or maybe I jogged a memory just by him seeing me on LinkedIn. Like, who knows? But either way, I thought it was really sweet. And I thought it was just so interesting too, because as we go through different things in life, like we only really know how we feel unless somebody actually comes and tells us how they feel. So you kind of never know. And we certainly don't know how people reflect on different situations that we were in or that we were a part of as we were, together in a relationship or in our formative years. So yeah. So that was definitely a moment that got me thinking about that relationship as I had Dr. Zoe on the Scarlet edit. And I just feel like this could be like a cool little series, like a little like, relationship reflection. Maybe that's what I'll call it. I have to think a bit. But anyway, all of that being said, I just wanted to do a quick solo episode and talk a little bit and just say hi and how excited I am. And if you aren't following me on TikTok, I would love the follow. It's at Nikki _Corbett _. And if you aren't following on Instagram, I would absolutely love a follow there. It's at the Scarlet edit. So I did a self-imposed social media challenge because, like I said, I have really big goals for this show. So one of them is to get on the Dear Media Network. If you are unfamiliar with Dear Media, it was founded by Lauren and Michael Bosstick. They are the hosts of the Skinny Confidential, him and her podcast. And you guys, they have so many amazing shows on their network. A few of the ones that I listen to or that I am, well aware of is The Toast, The Good Guys, Probably, Let's Be Honest. What's Heather McMahon's podcast name? Hers, Sheena's Shenanigans. They have so many great shows. And while they do have shows that talk about relationships, they don't have a show like mine. So the Scarlet Edit is meant for Dear Media. And so my goal for Q4 was to just get comfortable with posting on social media every day in the form of reels, in the form of talking, in the form of just to like share more of myself with the audience. Because number one, I want Dear Media's attention. Number two, I am getting settled in Arizona. And I had originally started out by saying that I was going to be like attempting a dating life. Honestly, I have not attempted shit. So I've removed that from the hook so far. But maybe at some point it will come back. But anyway, so that's kind of one of the things that I've been talking about a lot over there. So I'm just going to be weaving that in everywhere I possibly can. So if you're interested in following along that, I have 92 days or 92 days in Q4. I've almost made it through the first month, which is awesome and exciting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the second 2/3 of Q4 yield or bring or what I learned from it. I've also made some amazing connections, which is truly like one of the best things ever. Like some people that live here in Arizona. I've already met up with one gal in person. I have plans with another one. And it's really, really cool that through social media, you can meet really amazing people. And it all just starts by putting yourself out there. So I'm going to wrap this up because, we love a good under 20-minute solo episode. So thank you for being here. Thank you for following along. If you do listen on Apple and you would take the time to go on and rate and review the show, it would mean so much to me. It really does help, and I appreciate it more than you know. So thank you very much. And since this is coming out on Wednesday, the 29th, hey, you got our regularly scheduled show coming out on Thursday the 30th. So look forward to that. It is a great one, and I think will add a lot of value to all of you who listen to the Scarlet Edits. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.